Hi. Okay, we're going to break down, meaning I'm going to speak to you. You just have to sit back and listen. I'm going to break down for you everything that is in this wonderful online course that gives you the nuts and bolts of what you need to get into a private, or actually, if you are in a private practice, even be able to grow it. So, whether you are wanting to get into one, if you are in one and you want to grow your caseload and learn more about the business side and clinical aspects of private practice and being successful, then this course is for you. I've designed it for pre and provisionally licensed therapists because you guys are the ones on the front lines going out there and trying to make your career work, be successful, and I have a heart for you. So I put together this online course based on everything I had learned and figured out and tested to ensure it worked and was effective. And then it's also based on my work with other pre-licensed therapists, both working one-on-one with them aside from the online course, and also working with them within the course based on the materials. So I have added to the course. I launched it one time already and got valuable feedback from my students and participants. They loved it and they gave great feedback on stuff that I could add. So that's what I have been in the process of doing. And I'm still got a couple more things that I want to add. So by the time you guys get to module 4, there will be even more there. So, and maybe even the second section. So, I'm going to break it down for you real quick. The first module is on basically how to move past anxiety and fears that pop up inevitably whenever you think about venturing out to do something new or something that you really want really badly. So it feels that there's a lot on the line. Whenever we do a new project that's very impactful for us in our lives, it's going to bring up our issues. It's going to bring up anxiety more than likely. And so we really tackle that right away. I give you very thorough, hands-on, step-by-step tips on how to combat that anxiety and that fear. And that's the same kind of stuff that you can utilize going forward, even when seeing clients. Preparing yourself even to be able to manage the stress and anxiety of tackling on a new project, like getting into a private practice and growing your caseload and everything that entails. The ability to manage one's emotions and anxiety is very huge. And so that's what we start with right from the get-go. And I have poured my heart and my soul into that section on how you can manage your own emotions, because I too have struggled with anxiety my whole life and insecurity. And so I come from that perspective on the ways that I've grown with the clients that I've worked with and what's helped them. And so I have a variety of tips and a variety of approaches, all under mindfulness and attachment, based approaches and interventions. It's all based on that. So it's really, really effective and based on the cutting edge, neurobiological research and attachment science. So I feel really passionate about it. And I've gotten incredible feedback on that section and how much that has really helped them, both in managing the project of getting these tasks done and in managing the clinical work. There's some real practical ways that I help you with your mindset, so that you can get into this growth mindset and understand that this isn't about perfectionism or getting things done just perfect. It is about growing as you're moving forward and developing and cultivating this growth mindset that allows you to continue to move forward and accept limitations, accept challenges and obstacles that come up, but continue to move forward. And so that's what I go into in depth in that section. Then I help you visualize the way that you want to create your practice, the way you want it to be. So it's really a guided imagery type practice. Again, all under the mindfulness, realm. And so that leads us right into the second module. So once you have visualized and in your mind and maybe visually created what you want your practice to look like, what you really want to be as a therapist, the kind of services that you want to offer, if there's anything you want to specialize in, or if you want to generalize, I really break down all of that for you so you can start to hone in on what it is that you want to see for yourself in being in private practice. What do you want it to feel like, look like, sound like? Where do you want it to be? You know, if you had to visualize it in your dreams, what would that be? And how would you feel? What kind of clients would you be seeing? So we go into that. And then in that same section, oh no, I'm sorry. In the second section, module, that's the first module that I just went into. Then module 2 is on if you are in a state of residence with a licensure status where you need a supervisor, and you can find all that out through your licensing board website or your professional association connected to your license status. You can find out if a supervisor is required to get into private practice or not. In a lot of states it is, in some it's not. Some you can be an independent contractor and merely find office space. And you can pay outside a contracted supervisor who doesn't have to be there on site with you, who you don't necessarily have to be employed under. So that whole section is so module 2, how to find and land your ideal supervisor, and the differences also between private and group practice. So I really hone in on helping you find the ideal supervisor for you, based on where you're at, you know, in your stage of licensure. And then, you know, a lot of people talk about ideal clients, but for you as a pre-licensed or provisionally licensed counselor and therapist, you're needing a supervisor who's ideal for you. That person makes so much more of an impact and an influence on your clinical and business aptitude, you know, being able to be successful in private practice. That person plays such an important role. We know it's a limited role, but it's still very, very important. So I poured myself into that section too, really helping you understand what you need to know about finding a supervisor, where to find the best ones, and then once you do, I had a section within module 2 on how to create a stellar resume. So before I became a therapist 10 years ago, no, 11 years ago now, I was a professional writer. I got my undergrad degree in journalism, and I always loved psychology, but for some reason that's what the field that I pursued for a while. And so one of the things that I do really well, based on my skills and experience, is write. And so I actually am really good with resumes and that kind of copywriting, marketing copywriting. So created that for you. It's truly step by step. If you take the course, you get free templates that really make it easy for you to create. I also will, part of the course, I will edit it for you and make it, you know, any formatting issues, any editing that it needs, I will take that off your hands and do it for you, because my goal is to help you succeed. So, so that is part of module 2. And what I didn't add is that the templates actually are a bonus. So the first time around, I didn't include the actual templates for the resumes for you to use, but now that is a bonus for you if you are a participant of the course this time around. And it really makes it, you know, easy peasy for you just to plug in your information, and you can get a little creative with it, but it's very professional and very impressive looking compared to a lot of other resume formats and styles that are out there. And the language that I use, I really like, because I craft it around the therapy and private practice type setting and use language that will really help tailor it in a way that will make potential supervisors see you as a very attractive candidate for being a therapist in private practice. So whether you've had agency jobs or other kinds of jobs, or if you just had practicum, I can help tailor your resume in a way that can help you land that ideal supervisor. That can, you can use language and you can craft it and write it in a way that really is enticing and attractive for potential supervisors and employers. So that's something, that you can take and run with pretty much right away, because that's module 2. And then module 3, the first part is the 411 on what you need to know about the business side of group and private practice. So I break down the differences between, what a private practice is versus a group practice, and then the pros and cons to each one, the stuff that you need to know ahead of time. If you're trying to decide between taking on a supervisor who has just their own private practice, or you're looking at a supervisor who's in a group or center type environment. And so you want to look at all those aspects and those fine details of both the person of the therapist and then how the business is operated. So I give you enough information about that so going into it when you're applying and you're looking at places and talking with potential supervisors and employers, so going into it what those parameters are and what those differences are, and then you can be asking the right kinds of questions for yourself. Then the second part of module 3 is breaking down the income differences between group and private practice, because there is a difference, and sometimes you have a fee split, sometimes you have an hourly wage, and I really get into the nitty gritty on that so that what pros are for you financially between working in a private or group practice, and why maybe a private practice can be more attractive long term if you are able to get your marketing momentum going and generate your own referrals, because then you can negotiate a higher fee split if you're able to do that. Just a little tip. If you're the one able to generate your own clients, your own referrals, you have way more leverage with potential employers and supervisors to negotiate a higher fee split. So I go into that and more in that section. It's very much needed because a lot of people don't know and just kind of accept whatever is given them, the first opportunity or chance that they have. But I want you to be even more savvy than that, and I want you to be able to find not only the ideal supervisor for you or employer or site or office location, because I do go into that as well, but I also want you to be able to negotiate and maximize how much you can make, because that's going to help you make ends meet, help you survive pre-licensure and getting licensed, and live a fairly comfortable lifestyle where you can make ends meet and not be desperately making minimum wage or something like that. So that's my goal in that section. Then the last part of module 3 is how to set fees, which includes how to create and manage a sliding scale. So creating a sliding scale was something early on that worked magically for me in building a caseload early on. I could take clients at a lower fee than my colleagues or a supervisor, and it really helped to cultivate that caseload as I was learning. So it was a really good exchange, I felt, between the clients and myself, that here I have a lot to offer, but I'm still learning, and you really want therapy and counseling, but you can't afford it, you don't want to have to pay the full fee. So it's a good match that way. So I break all that down for you, and trust me, it's well worth it, even if you just get it for that section. So that's fees. And then I also have another video I'm going to be sending out soon about how basically how to set fees, how to negotiate your fees with clients. So that's an important part, and something that we're definitely not usually taught in school. So it's a matter of hearing from other people how they do it to figure it out for yourself. Okay, and so that's all module 3. Those are the business aspects of private and group practice. Then it just naturally moves into module 4, which is where you gain your marketing momentum. And so this is about how to get clients. It's comprehensive coverage of your options, along with laser focused training on crafting your messaging. So just like I mentioned, as humbly as I can say, I have a strength in writing, in crafting marketing materials and writing. And So this module is the biggest one, has the most amount of information on what all of your options are, based on today's technology, trends, both with marketing and technology, trends within and your options within our field and what other coaches and consultants are doing, and those that are successful, having successful private and group practices. So, if you can get a successful private practice going, it can be likely that that could evolve into a group practice. So this material that I'm teaching you is very impactful and profound, because it could help you develop your practice into eventually having a group practice. So the marketing momentum piece is the biggest part of that, because of course once you get you want to do private practice, you work on your anxiety and fears, you find a supervisor or a site, office or site, and supervisor, then you learn about the business aspects of private and group practice. Then you're charged with getting the clients. So if you're at a site that provides referrals, okay, and at the same time, even if a site or supervisor is going to provide referrals, they're going to be thrilled and appreciative if you are able to do your part in generating referrals for yourself as well. I mean, even if it's 50-50, or they're giving you 30% and you're generating 80%, or vice versa, maybe it's 30% at first and then they're providing 80%, but as your momentum builds and advances, then you're able to generate more and more, and negotiate higher fee splits and higher wages, because you have more leverage that way. So that's a little bit on the importance of the marketing piece when it comes to private practice and getting your clients. So I go into what one of the most powerful methods is for getting clients, and that is content marketing. And that's my super strength. Creating material. The way I even created these services started with a blog and a website. And so I have all that free for the taking still. But that is an example of content marketing. So I dig deep into that and show you and tell you all the options for that, give you ideas, tips, to really get your creative juices flowing. And then I work one-on-one with you to help you hone in and figure out what do you want to do with all of that. Now you've learned about the content marketing, you've learned about your options for marketing. What do you want to do with it? And I really get to know you one-on-one to hear what your strengths are, what your interests are, what your financial investment ability is. And so we put together all of that and help you find your way. If you need me, if you can figure it out on your own based on what I educate you on and show you, then that's great. But just to let you know, you're not left hanging. You're not just given all this information and left hanging. I'm here to walk you through all of it and help you kind of brainstorm through it and figure out what you want to do with it. And then the next part of Module 4 is it's a whole a second section on copywriting and niche selection. So that's where I really break down for you on literally how to write and craft your messaging from the get-go, whether it's a directory profile listing like Psychology Today, or it's your actual website or a new website, or it's some sort of other marketing material that you want to get out there. This is what's going to teach you how to do it. You don't need any other class other than what's in this. This is going to do it for you. And so, because the copywriting and the niche selection, finding what other people might call your ideal client, your niche. You don't have to have a niche. You can be a generalist. And so I cover all of that too, the benefits of having a niche versus being a generalist, and then help you really maybe figure out what yours might be if you feel like you're in the dark right now. And even if whether you do know or you don't know, it's okay. What I teach you, you can still proceed with. So being a professional writer and editor, I really bring that to the table and help you create the marketing materials that you need to on as low of a budget as you possibly can, because you don't have to spend a ton of money to get yourself out there and build a practice. That's a myth. So, okay, that's Module 4. last but not least is wonderful module 5, and that is handling your first calls um, and emails. And then, the sixth section, I have module 6, which is also how to handle the first session and consultation. So, the fifth module is handling the calls and emails. What do you say? There's scripts right in there for you. There's ideas of what you can say, scripts of what you can write in an email. And I've really tested this and over the years figured out what works best to make sure it's a good fit client, at least with initial impressions, initial conversations, and then, okay, after that, how do I get them to book with me? And then once I have that initial consultation session, first session, how do I finesse that and help them feel comfortable enough and say the right things and handle that session in a way that they're going to think you're the therapist for me. I want to come back. That's what I cover in the very last module. I've created a formula based on experience and testing that works, that allows you to be fully yourself and authentic within the session, creating a transition from the phone call or email to that first meeting, with the things that they've told you, and then having that initial session imprint upon them your empathy, your ability to understand, to be interested in them, to be able to get to the heart of the matter, to acknowledge to them that you can see the heart of the matter for them. You can hear what they're asking about, what they need, both in what they're saying and what they're not saying. So that last module is so important because it can make or break you building and growing a caseload or not. Because sure, getting calls coming in and emails is one thing, and then getting them in your door is another thing, and then having them come back is yet another thing. So and it can seem daunting, when you think about all those pieces. Like one piece hinges upon the other, which hinges upon the other, and it kind of is. It's a kind of a delicate matter because you're talking about people's emotional lives and troubles and struggles, and so making that first impression can be challenging, but it's not too hard, and it's completely possible. And I've learned from mistakes that I made that I integrate within the teaching, and but just focus on what really does work, because that's what you need to know. That's what you're going to take with you. So apologize for the background noise in my office here, but that's module 6, getting you ready for those first sessions and helping increase the chances of them coming back and scheduling with you. And I have really brass business type tactics implemented in a very clinically appropriate, sensitive way that helps them book and schedule time and time again. So anyways, not like it's magic, but it is a formula and it works. And it's authentic and real and ethical and legal, and it's based on clinical knowledge and wisdom. So anyways, thank you for listening, and please click the link if you're interested. For now, it's going to be at a reduced rate for the next couple months, and then once it goes public, it's going to be probably rise about 100, 150. So for now, I keep it really low because I want to get this out to as many people as possible, to help as much as possible. So that's my heart, and I want to see you guys succeed. And that's what I'm here for with this course, helping you to get your goals met and be successful. And get to the heart of the matter of doing this clinical work that you're so looking forward to being able to do. Okay, that's what it's about. All right, thanks and God bless.